Stay there, Billy. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully this works. I've got another computer. Hi, SW. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. I just need to do something here. All right. Yeah, I'm back. I think the guys who upgraded my other computer, they did something to it, and can't get the volume. I've got my laptop now. So yeah, Keynesian stimulus will not work in 2020. And why do I say that? Well, because I think what's happened in 2020 is so unprecedented that Keynesian economics, all the money printing, all the fiscal stimulus is not going to work because I think the general public, the consumer, has been damaged. Psychology, things are not the same. There's too much uncertainty. So I think all those PhD economists who think all you need to do is create, let's say, run a budget deficit, print money, and then things will come back. I think they're very wrong. And I think what we're going to end up with, unfortunately, is the collapse of all fiat currencies. And that means hyperinflation. Okay, let's see who's here now. Who we got? Oh, loads of people. I'm sorry, everyone, about what happened earlier. I don't know what's happening there. Yeah, print some money. I saw there's a Fed guy, economist, the other day. He said the Fed needs to print another 30% of the GDP, which adds up to $6 trillion. I think it's going to get crazy. So, yeah, I think it's going to fail. Pat says Keynesian will fail in 2020. How could the BIS be wrong? They're gods, aren't they? Yeah. Hi, Christopher. He's in Melbourne. This is the third time I started this. Now it's working. It is government's job to stimulate the economy according to Keynesians. Yeah, all they're doing is punishing the economy with more of this debt they're creating, with more inflation they're creating. It won't work. I think it's worked in the past. It worked to some extent in '08, but we hadn't really seen a very good growth anywhere after '08, except maybe for emerging markets. So I think since like the '80s, every time we have like a new boom and then a bust, the growth becomes even worse and worse. And I think this time it's the patient is dead, so the system is going to implode on itself, and I don't think it's going to work. The thing is, these people are so arrogant that they think it's going to work. They think that looking at economies as an equation, as a scientific thing, is the way forward. They're PhD economists, and they, unfortunately, not many of them learned from the Austrian School of Economics that human action is really important. Andy Hughes, Biden as president, gold to the moon. I'm not sure if Biden will win the election. I've read many things, well, not a lot, but I read one interesting point is that Biden could win the popular vote by 5 million, but still lose in the electoral college. So, because he's got a lot of support in the big metropolitan areas, but Trump has more support countrywide in a lot more counties. So it's going to be, whatever happens, I think there's going to be a lot of mayhem and chaos, unfortunately. That's the other problem. And it's not only the US, it's here in the UK. I think there are two books right now that I think people should read. It will show them what we're going through. One is Fiat Money Inflation in France by Andrew Dixon White. It's about what happened after the French Revolution. It's the same thing that's happening now on a worldwide scale, especially in the West. We've got a lot of debt. We've got political uncertainty. We've got a depression. We've got wealth inequality, and it all led to. And we also had back here the French state printing loads of money, paper money, and we're doing the same thing, and it ended in disaster. And the other one, of course, is When Money Dies by Adam Ferguson. It's about 1923 Germany. We've got all the same symptoms. Even back in those days, there was a lot of speculation by the general public in the stock market and gambling and betting because doing normal productive things didn't pay. So yeah, if I had to read two books before the end of this year, would be these two: when Money Dies and Fiat Money Inflation in France. Tricky Dicky, thank you for your super chat. Says, thank you for all your hard work. Love your channel and your content. Cheers, mate. Oh, you're welcome. Pat says the Keynesian experiment was designed from the get-go to fail. Yeah. He says the Pope just stated that governments must give up their sovereignty to the UN. Well, you know, the UN, Pat, was created by the bankers. Rockefellers donated $8 million for the headquarters in New York. They're behind the UN. They were behind the League of Nations as well. After World War II, the League of Nations was supposed to be like the UN, but the Americans didn't join. So that was a problem for them. And I think that's why they had to start World War II. Norman Liu, listening to U.S. Mint has proof silver dollar. I don't think it's a proof dollar, silver dollar, Norman. It's a normal, it's just a normal silver dollar. They've raised the price. Silver Eagle, it's not a dollar, it's a silver eagle, because a dollar is not an ounce of gold, a silver dollar. But they've raised the price from 54 to 67. It's a special one they do. They put it in a box. I think people have made a big deal out of that, out of this, because I think the price from a dealer is still around $30. But what's significant is the increase in price. But I don't think that means that the ounce of silver right now is 67. I think it will get there, but not right now. The Price of Tomorrow, I highly recommend it. Okay. Pope is a dope. The Pope has a TED Talk. Still haven't got around to watching it. GeoFit. Yeah, all these guys are behind a lot of things. I recommend Norman Dodd. Interview with G.E. Griffin. Yeah, I recommend Norman Dodd, Interview with G. Edward Griffin. He talks about the people running the world, the tax-free foundations, and this was from the early 80s. Buy silver, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, people, before it's too late. Tony Yanone. I'm more, I mean, I think cryptocurrencies will do well, but I still favor gold and silver. Christopher, have you read E.B. Tucker's book, Why Gold, Why Now? No, I haven't. I'll have to have a look. I have to have a look. GeoFit, it's always hard to say what precious metals are going to do in a particular day, but I think the close on Friday was quite good. We closed right near the highs, which is unusual, around 1930. So yeah, I think we're going to jump higher. Hi, Typical Brian. Thank you. Good day. Ben Gray went to the Cardiff protest, about 1,000 people. Yeah, the market opens in an hour. Well, I've got really an hour and 45 minutes. It opens at 11 p.m. London, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Clock fixer 64, high clock fixer. I think Andy Hughes talking about what's going on. I think it's what they're doing is they want to flush down the way the economy is, and in some respects, I agree that the way we were living as a society was out of control. Too much debt, too much consumption, not enough production. But I would never expected them to do it through the way they're doing it. Uh, yeah, I guess it's a cover for flushing down the economy, for flushing down all the currencies and bringing things back. I don't know what the other side is going to look like. I was reading earlier Bob Moriarty. He did an interview this a few days ago. He said he's from 321gold.com. He said it's impossible to predict what's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 months. I think the only thing we can predict is that the bankers and the politicians are going to stimulate things even more. And yeah, I don't need to tell you what that means in terms of the purchasing power of the currency. DMC, what happens to the price of gold if the global population reduces? I don't think the global population is reducing right now. So this crisis we've had, the fatality rate is the same as a bad flu season. It's 0.13%. If anything, the world population is still growing. I'm not sure. I mean, are you foreseeing some kind of a disaster that kills off loads of people? I don't know. But I don't think it makes much difference. There's still a lot of credit out there and not enough precious metals. Paul Game, can you explain how physical gold or silver has any bearing on the Comex price or the paper market? Very little, because Comex and Comex is the paper market, right? Comex and LBMA are highly leveraged. People hardly ever take delivery, even though they're starting to take delivery now on Comex. So yeah, I think eventually Comex and LBMA will have to reflect the real price of physical gold and silver. They're certainly not reflecting it right now. Gary Croft, they're going to lock down Liverpool and Manchester. Yeah, I've been following that. I think it will come down to London as well, unfortunately. War between China and Taiwan. Well, it wouldn't be just between China and Taiwan. It would be between China and the US, because Taiwan is pretty much a client state of the US. I think it would be, you won't be able to get any gold if that would be World War III. Mike says, thank you for your great insights. Could a digital currency control velocity of money so keep inflation in check? Mike P, we have inflation. Maybe you haven't watched my videos, but I keep telling people that inflation is the increase in the supply of money and credit. And we've had that in spades. I think what you're talking about are prices rising. Yeah, velocity of money is low, but I don't think it matters. You start seeing money flow into commodities, and then commodities go up, and that will be what people call inflation, even though it's rising prices. I wouldn't really focus too much on money velocity. I actually think we have the biggest danger is hyperinflation, and hyperinflation has got nothing to do with cost or cost push uh, inflation. It's all to do with a loss of confidence in in the state, in the currency, and I think we're very close to that in the U.S., here in the U.K., in Europe. So I would first get the definition of inflation correct, because we've got inflation in spades. If you look at M1 money supply, M2 money supply is going up by over 50% per annum. Nasara, I don't believe in that. I've heard of Nasara for 20 years, and it's just a pipe dream, Dan Breeze, in my opinion. Helton Ernesto, how do you respond to those who claim the Fed is a shark and with no teeth and with all the QE is actually pulling liquidity out of the system rather than adding to it? Um, well, just look at the chart of the stock market after the bottom in March. The Fed created three trillion or $3.5 trillion in reserves, and those reserves flowed into the banking system, and the banking system it flowed into the markets. So maybe if the Fed hadn't done that QE, do you think the stock market would have come back as it has? So that's my answer to that question. Helsinki, your opinion, what could send silver and gold into a downward spiral over the next 6, 12, 24 months? If the Fed started raising interest rates, if all the world central banks started raising interest rates aggressively, maybe. But even that, I don't see that either, because if they start raising rates, the whole thing collapses, and you want to have gold when there's a total collapse. So, or maybe I guess if aliens come to Earth and they bring like a trillion tons of gold with them. So I actually don't see gold spiraling down over the next 6, 12, or 24 months. I don't see it at all. I think we're too far gone in terms of the monetary system. The central bankers have to keep inflating. So the inflate or die is even worse now. So yeah, and it's not a trade. It's just protecting your savings. That's what I'm not saying this. I'm not telling people, oh, buy gold because it's going to 10,000 and then you sell it. No, buy gold because you need gold. You can't hold paper. Paper is going to be destroyed, I think. Not I think, it will definitely be. Paul Game, can you explain how physical gold and silver has any bearing? I think I answered that question already, didn't I? So I said that Comex, the paper market, has very little, how can I say, it doesn't really reflect the real price of gold and silver, the physical that we have to buy. And I think it's going to catch up the price because it's too leveraged. It's not a real market. Property crash. Ewan Robertson. Ewan, I think what will happen is that you won't know what the price of a house is, because if the currencies collapse, you won't be able to buy or sell anything. So you're going to have to wait afterwards. If you hold gold and silver or other things outside the system, you could probably buy a nice house after everything collapses. But I think it's going to be, yeah, it's not going to be as easy to buy and sell. So we won't really know what the prices are. I think we're going into a really uncertain period. Cashless under 5 years. Well, Sweden is already cashless. I guess some countries might move more towards cashless. Uh, some countries, I don't think they'll ever go cashless, like Switzerland. So we'll have to see. Susan Chapel, what percentage of the population do you think is stacking? Oh, we are a we are a minority. Very few people even know about gold and silver, I would say. Sometimes we think that a lot of people are into gold and silver because we we don't go out maybe out into the world and talk to people. But I think very few people have a clue, have any clue that the monetary system and everything is so screwed up. Many people don't even think that zero interest rates are like anything unusual. They think it's normal. SC, good evening, SC. Do you see a revolution coming in the near future? Uh, yeah, I mean, things don't look good. I don't know if you've read that book or heard of the book, The Fourth Turning, where you get some kind of. I think we're getting a revolution now. I know there's not blood. Well, there is blood in the streets in some instances, but the world has changed in 2020, and I think it's going to get even worse in the next 6 to 12 months. So it is a kind of revolution already. How many ounces of gold to buy a house? I didn't even say how many ounces you need, but right now I think in the UK, um, historically, the average house price, the lowest that ratio has gone, you need like 60 ounces to buy the average house price. I haven't looked into that recently, but you're going to probably not need too many ounces, maybe 10, 20, I would say. And it depends where you are, what country, what, where you buy the house, what kind of house. Susan Chapel, thank you for the super chat. Jay Northrop, Exeter's Pyramid. Yeah, I've talked so much about John Exeter. I've followed his writings and his idea of the inverted pyramid for like over 15 years. Yeah, basically the inverted pyramid is like that, and gold is at the bottom of the pyramid. I guess silver as well. At the top is the riskiest things, like derivatives, equities, junk bonds, and then you get government bonds just before the tip, and then cash, and then gold and silver. Paul West, do you suspect a collapse to happen before the election? No, I don't think we're going to see the stock market crash before the election. From what I hear from like people who have called things right in the past, they actually think we're going to have another leg up into the election. But after the election, they could see the market turn down. But I don't think it's going to be we had the crash already in March, but I think we're going to go into like a very a bear market over the next 18 months after that. Not Joe King. Most people I ask what they think of gold and silver have zero idea what I even mean. Yeah, let alone what a Britannia or Krugerrand is. People's level of IQ is extremely low. Very sad. I'm not even sure it's the IQ. It's just that uh, people, the mainstream media, what else? Academia, even at universities, they've all been programmed and brainwashed into not asking questions about the monetary system. I think in schools here, when they talk about money, they teach kids how to manage debt and things like that. They're just trying to get people to hold on to that. They don't talk about what money is really. So I don't think it's people's IQ. I wouldn't say that. It's just that they haven't been exposed to it, and I guess some people don't ask questions about these things. It's not everyone that's interested in money in terms of what it is. Patrick Gelpke, oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the comment. DMC, the more I learn about this world and control structure, the more it blows my mind. We desperately need a return to individual freedoms. Yeah, I think that's going to be difficult, I think, but we can try to stay as free as we can individually and our families by knowing what it's all about, by knowing about this control mechanism of keeping you in the system. And I'm not saying people have to go into the mountains, become a hermit, but I think you need, of course, to be partly in the system, but by knowing what we know about the monetary system, the banking system, we just have to try to avoid being too much into it and buying all the propaganda as well. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's propaganda saying that you can have everything you want. You just have to borrow to buy this and that, to travel 3 times a year. No, I think we need to keep our feet on the ground and not live beyond our means. GM, I don't, the housing market, I said earlier, if the currency collapses, you want to have a property because property is always something valuable. What I think will happen is it will be very difficult to buy and sell properties in this coming crisis, in my opinion. So I don't think it's a good time to be buying housing if you think you're going to buy it to make money. I don't think that there's a bad time ever to buy a house if it's for your family and for you to live in, as long as you don't mortgage yourself too much. Victor, the failure of stimulus is going to result in the total loss of confidence in the system. And that's why, it's not even going to be inflation. It's going to be the collapse of currencies that you won't be able to buy anything with these pieces of paper. Yeah, we already have inflation. We have inflation. That's what that's what's frustrating, because we have a lot of people out there who say, oh, we've got deflation, but they don't. I look at the classical definition of inflation, which is the increase in the supply of money and credit out of thin air by the government and the central banks. You go, me too. Do you think Trump will win the election? There's a thesis that say that market is up in the 3 months prior to election, the incumbent party wins. I've been reading a little bit about the elections, and there's a lot of different views. I think if you watch mainstream media in the US, it looks like Biden is a cinch. But I read an analysis, I think it's from Goldman Sachs, actually. It was on Zero Hedge, that Biden could win the popular vote by 5 million, and you could still see Trump win the electoral college votes. I think you need 271 electoral college votes to win, mainly because Biden has a lot of support from the big metropolitan areas, which are more left-leaning, but Trump has a lot of support countrywide in small counties, more the rural area, middle America, I would say. But the other thing we have to look at is, it looks like a lot of people are saying that we could have a blue sweep. We could have Biden and we have Congress, both houses of Congress under the Democrats. I mean, that would be quite interesting, but it's going to be, I think the post-election, November 4th is going to end that. I think there's going to be a lot of whoever wins, whoever loses is going to be really upset that the other party won. I think it's going to be even worse than in 2000 and the hanging chads with Bush and Al Gore, the guy who invented the internet. Joker Alpha, thank you for the super chat. If currency could collapse, how is Bitcoin valued if it's purchased by fiat? You won't be able to purchase it by fiat because fiat will buy nothing. So I guess you'll probably be value it versus gold or silver or versus Ethereum. Yeah. You know, fiat won't even be able to buy Bitcoin, nor gold, nor silver. It's like in Venezuela. Helsinki, how likely is that some major currency would collapse? No, debt is not forgiven. The bankers make sure on the other side that the debt that you have is reinstated in the new currency. But who knows? There's always hope that it. But I wouldn't be getting into debt, thinking if there's a currency collapse, everything will be wiped out and that you'll be scot-free. Chris R says there is no blue sweep. That is fake news. I don't know if it's fake news, but there are people talking about it. I don't think it will happen either, but we'll have to see. Anything can happen. Right now, it says the polls give an average that Joe Biden is 9% ahead on average, all these polls. But I remember in 2016, the day of the election, the New York Times said that Hillary Clinton had a 95% chance of winning. So there you go. Snowman, what do you think about having all gold and silver as replacement, all cash and assets? So do you need some cash flow just in case? Well, what I think one should do, what I do is I have cash in the bank like fiat because to pay my monthly bills, but I don't save in fiat. I save in gold and silver. I don't see why I should save in fiat because its value is dropping every year. There's no yield on it. You look at gold, for example, since 2001, in all the major fiat currencies, dollar included, has gone up by 10% every year since 2001 on average. So what's the point of keeping fiat currency in the bank? It's or in savings. I think it's just a silly thing to do personally. But people feel more comfortable seeing a big balance in their bank account than seeing a few coins. And that's normal because they're not used to. They think gold and silver are risky. Joker Alpha, I guess what I meant is what would the exchange value of Bitcoin when the fiat collapses? Well, there wouldn't be you won't be able to buy Bitcoin with it would be, I don't know, $1 trillion. People wouldn't want your dollars or your euros or your pounds. So you have to value it versus something that is stable like gold. So you have to see how many ounces of gold you need to buy one, how many Bitcoins you can get with an ounce or vice versa, what you will get from one Bitcoin. Because I don't think if all the fiat currencies collapse, there will be no price in dollars for Bitcoin, nor for gold, nor for anything. You won't be able to buy a loaf of bread or a pint of milk or anything. Yeah, the sound is. I had to change my computer. DMC. I think the next orchestrated false flag, which will inevitably draw Turkey in and cover their currency collapse, will be Azerbaijan conflict. Yeah, I've heard there's some kind of conflict in that area, Armenia, Azerbaijan. I don't think much will result from it. Vic Vanderbank thinks it's a world war, but I think a world war would start more because of the South China Sea, really. Yes, Luca, I heard they're raising the price of Silver Eagle from 54 to $67, but that's I think a kind of commemorative coin. It's in a little box. So, and they're only raising it from $7. It was 54 or 57 already. I don't think that's quite significant. I've spoken about that, but I think it doesn't mean gold. Silver tomorrow will be at $67 the ounce. I think it's more like 30 in the normal physical market. Mary, do you think central banks were allowed to lose power of creating currency to Bitcoin? I don't know what what the power of central banks to create currency, how that's related to Bitcoin really, and I don't think Bitcoin's got anything to do with if people lose confidence in central bank money or currency. That's because the central bankers have been reckless. It's got nothing to do with Bitcoin. And I don't think the central bankers can do anything about Bitcoin or gold or silver. Snowman, is there any possibility Bitcoin will be recovery just like after '08? Well, I don't really think the '08 recovery was that after '08 was very good. No, I think it's going to be worse because over the decades, the the recoveries are getting shallower and shallower. I think it won't be. There is a recovery now, but it's like slowing down again. Keith Michijuk, Mary, can you interview the fly? I don't know what you mean by that. The fly. I don't know who that is. You have to be a little more specific there. Scholten, do you think there will be a windfall tax on gold and silver after the fail? I think there's already in the. Are you in the U.S.? I don't know. In the U.S., there's already capital gains tax on gold and silver. So don't know why they would want to have a windfall tax on it. But I heard that someone said that Biden is thinking of imposing a sales tax on precious metals. I don't know if that's true. Giovanni says, fly on Pence's head. Oh, yeah, I saw that in the debate. Yeah. Captain, yeah, I think they have been, ever since they started trading futures on Bitcoin. I think it was late 2017, early 2018. A lot of the people in the Bitcoin space, they want to get into derivatives and all that. And I think it's a huge mistake because the bankers now are more in control of Bitcoin through the derivatives market. I think Bitcoin should have stayed pure currency, like cash market. I think it's a big mistake to try to trade Bitcoin through futures and derivatives, but people are greedy, and that's that's the way it goes. It's like with gold, the futures market. That's what keeps a lot of people away from gold and silver, is because the bankers scare people off because of you get speculators buying the paper gold, and it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Is this is this 2022? Do you think this is why they crush Veritasium ability to trade gold and silver digitally? No, I don't think so. I think it's Reggie Middleton, right? I think it was something to do with the SEC and securities laws. I don't know the exact details of what happened there with Veritasium. I don't think it's because of gold and silver digitally. It could be, but don't think so. I haven't seen the new $2 bill selling for 19.99. Norman, if I buy a kilo of silver from England, the customs puts 120 euro tax here in Spain from 6 months ago. Okay. Adam said, Adam Derivative BOE already pumping their digital currency. Yeah, I definitely think they want everything to go digital and cashless because then they can control things better. But there is a way out of the system under a digital currency, and that's physical gold and silver. You can still do that. Yeah, SW. It looks like the Bank of England is going to probably be announcing in November another 100 billion of QE for this year, and some people think they're going to add another 150 billion next year. Um, the furlough scheme ends at the end of this month here in the UK. I think there's a lot of people going to go lose their jobs. They've announced that they're going to extend the furlough scheme, but that's only for places where they have local lockdowns. In the south of England, there isn't any lockdowns unless there will be a lockdown by then, and that's why I think there will be. So it's going to be another excuse for more money printing. The government is going to borrow even more. It's going to be a mess. GeoFit, London property prices. The problem is that some, yeah, pockets of like in the UK have gone up. Places in the UK prices have gone up. Places under 500,000. As I've said earlier in this live stream, I think what will happen is people won't be able to buy or sell anything. So you won't really know what a house is worth. But as I've said, I have no problem having my house. I don't have debt attached to it. In a currency collapse, you want to have some, if you not don't have gold and silver, or having a house is a good thing because it's worth something. It's bricks and mortar. I have a story about my uncle in Brazil. He's a doctor. Back in '87, he bought a house to have his new new office, medical office in. He bought the house, and he exchanged with the guy. So the guy got the money from my uncle, and then the next day the currency collapsed, and they had like a reset, and the guy was left with a lot less than he thought he had the day before. My uncle was very lucky because he got rid of that old currency just the day before and got something real, the house. If he had kept that money and exchanged the next day, he wouldn't have been able to get that house. So I think we are in that kind of environment. Tobacco, yeah. Well, after World War II in Germany, cigarettes were used as money or currency. Rocka Hillbillies. Hi, Rocka Hillbillies. Jink says Bank for International Settlements admits cryptocurrency will have to be used for central bank digital currency cross-border payments. They might use the blockchain. There's a lot of people who think that cryptocurrencies were created by people like the NSA so that they wouldn't have to do all the investment and the build up the infrastructure that people, computer programmers and people in tech would do it themselves. And that's what's happened. They've built the infrastructure for free for the central bankers. Now all they have to do is buy it up. But yeah, I mean, blockchain, who knows? We already have digital currencies. I mean, everything is online right now. Very, very little people, very few people still use cash. SoftBank, I don't know much about them. I know don't know much about SoftBank. I just know they're a big Japanese investment bank, and I haven't really read up too much on them. General Stack, that's highly possible because the same people that were involved in other color revolutions are the same people I think that are involved in what's going on socially, not only in the US, but in this country too. Mike from Sacramento, when you get a home, unless you buy it outright, you get debt. And as long as you keep your job, it's not a problem. Lose the job, you lose the home. That's right. Um, unless you're really comfortable with your job and your income, yeah, if you have a mortgage, it's not really yours, like you said. General Stack, can the system continue to muffle along next 2-3 years? A lot of people think it can. I actually think it's unraveling, and it's going to be a lot quicker. How long till we start using acorns for money? Mad Max was set in 2021. Well, there you go. What's your point of view? Why a Bank of Canada far past exceed other central banks in USDX? Pablo, you need to be a bit clearer. I don't really understand that question. Not sure why. Not sure what you mean. Billy inspired me to buy a 100-ounce RCM bar. There's Billy. He's here. You see, he's asleep. The real Scott. I think things are so unusual, especially this year, 2020, that it's not going to be stage by stage. It's going to be like it's going to come out like it's going to happen really quickly, and if you're not ready, you won't be able to protect yourself. And I don't know what it's going to be exactly, but it's going to be I don't think it's going to be good. I just have this feeling because they, like, as we know, they've been able to keep things going for far too long, and I think they can't do it forever. Joker Alpha, I can see gold being exchanged for a house. However, I still cannot see how Bitcoin can be exchanged for a house or car because it was based on speculative fiat, or would it? It just depends what people value Bitcoin at. Uh, if someone wants to sell their house for a Bitcoin to you, fine. Yeah. You just transfer the Bitcoin to this person's wallet. If they want to sell it for an ounce of gold, yeah, that the thing is, if the fiat currency collapses, Bitcoin will be worth quite a bit because it's got a limited supply, just like gold and silver. You just have to think in terms. I think Bitcoin will be valued in terms of gold. So that's what you have to know, really. I'm sorry if I don't see all the questions. We got quite a few people here today. Um, Rumble in the Jumbo, you know anything about LIBOR expiry in Britain end of this year? Yeah, I've done videos about LIBOR. Um, it's not expiry. It's that the regulators, the central bankers, they want the people who use LIBOR as a reference to stop using it by the end of 2021. But they're not really the the people who use LIBOR, the people in the too big to fail banks. They're still using LIBOR, so it's a problem. It's a big problem, and yeah, they got to the end of 2021, but they're still referencing hundreds of billions and if not trillions of contracts with LIBOR. Pablo Pin, the other day you illustrated a chart indicating central bank asset growth. My question is, why Bank of Canada surpasses other central banks? Well, because they've been doing a lot more QE. That's why they're creating a lot of, they're printing a lot more money than everyone else, all the other central banks. Doesn't bode well for the Canadian dollar. Jan Marsh, yeah, I saw that about the WHO informs to quit lockdown, but governments are still going to ignore that. There's so many things that the WHO said that the infection fatality rate is only 0.13%. People still ignoring it. I think they're still going to go ahead with all these lockdowns. They want to bring they're too far gone down their plan to bring everything down, unfortunately. Uh, I agree, Butchie. I think the correction in precious metals is coming to an end soon. I assume that's what you're talking about. Mario, General Stack, seems the UK is much worse off than America economically. America has a more resilient economic base. Yeah, probably. And you've got a bigger military as well. You do have a much bigger manufacturing than the UK. The UK economy is 80% services. I think the US is a bit less than that. But the US has a lot more debt but as a percentage of GDP. Billy's here. There he is. It's because I got my other computer. You can't. There he is. He's asleep. Peter Alsby, Governor Whitmer disregarding court. Yeah, I've heard people have told me that. Yeah, in Michigan, I heard that there was an attempted. People are planning to kidnap her as well. So that's why I said, things are getting so crazy, politically, socially, that I think people are going to lose confidence in the powers that be. And when people lose confidence in this mechanism of the state, it's the state that issues the currency. They're going to lose confidence in the currency as well. Nazi Cairo, have you noticed that many banking worldwide sites have recently crashed? You think it is intentional? I haven't heard about that. I haven't heard about that. I can't say whether it's intentional or not. The UK Treasury officially has 300 metric tons of gold, which isn't that much, considering Russia has 2,000 tons. I think Italy and France have over 2,000. The UK only has 300 tons. H. Johnson, gilts. Well, gilts are basically the equivalent of US Treasuries for the UK. They're government bonds, gilts issued by the Treasury. Their yields are really low right now. I wouldn't invest in them. I think up to 5 years, you're getting a negative yield. And I wouldn't touch them with a barge pole. The only reason they've gone up in price and down in yield is because the Bank of England is buying them, and pension funds and speculators are just going with it. But I think it's junk. Gilts are junk. So are treasuries. All government bonds are junk. Andy Hughes, yeah, I think commodities are due to rise. I think they've been the lowest relative to, like you said, S&P for over 100 years. I'll take a few more questions, and we're reaching the hour mark here. What happens to our bills when the dollar is worthless? You mean the bills that you have to pay, or the dollar bills? But if it's the bills you have to pay, you're going to have a tough time paying your bills unless you've got something that's more valuable than the worthless dollars. Best advice to survive this? Um, I don't know. Don't watch television or listen to the mainstream. Yeah, because you go crazy. Just yeah, just try to ignore all the noise, I would say. Next interview guest. Yeah, I think next week, hopefully, I'm going to have a guy called David Scott. He's from Scotland, and he usually does UK column news. We're going to talk about central banking. I think that's going to be the next guest, David Scott. I think his YouTube channel is Northern Exposure. General Stack. Once the masses turn to gold and silver, will there be enough supply to say? Yeah, there will be, but it will have to be at a lot higher price. That's what the price does. There's always enough gold and silver. It just depends on the price. Your mortgage will be it will be rewritten, and you still have a mortgage when they set up the new system. So yeah, don't think that they will write off your mortgage, unfortunately. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for the glitch in the beginning with the volume, and I wish you all a great next week. Take care, and thanks again. Bye.